ana te tūru ki te hoatu ki te waka e tauri ai e. Tangaroa pea e tāhiri mā te tūhakangi nuku tūhakangi rangi haere tāne runga. Hautoto, ko tūheke ana, korongo heke ana ko te ngā hau o tū. Utaina taku kawa nei, hei kawe tua maunga. Aue kawe wini kawa wana kāra patatu ki te langi. Over 2,000 years ago, our ancestors left the east and moved to the Pacific Ocean. Over 1,000 years ago, our ancestors moved south to the land known as Aotearoa. The land that the people who colonized us would say was the long white cloud. The land of the long white cloud. It's wrong. We're reclaiming our right to describe ourselves and identify ourselves as Maori, as indigenous people of Tika Maui. Te waka Maui and Aotearoa to us means the new place of the enduring home. When our ancestors came to Aotearoa, they brought with them aboard their canoes implements to have a new way of life. They brought with them artifacts so they could remember their own ancestors. But the most precious thing that they brought, the most precious of treasures, was their breath. Te haonga tūpuna. We few representatives of the many tribes of Aotearoa me te Waipounamu are here to share expressions of our breath in word, in song, in sound, and in greeting. For when we press noses, we share the breath of life. And in doing so, we remember our ancestors, those who have passed on, the world of the dead. And in the second pressing of the noses, we represent and we acknowledge the world of the living. Tūki runga, tūki rara, tūki hea hea. Tūka hakaputaina ki te hei au, ki te amarama. Ti he Maori ora. We acknowledge the Balinese, the indigenous people of this beautiful land. We acknowledge the creatures that populate this land, all things animate and inanimate. We acknowledge all indigenous peoples of all lands who are gathered here this evening. We acknowledge the organisers of this wonderful festival. We acknowledge all of you, our brothers and sisters, our children and our elders in our shared humanity. E mihi ana ki te whenua, e tangi ana ki te tangata. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Going to be talking to you about Mōteatea, Waiata Tawhito, also known as traditional chants. They embody our old reo, language, and depth of our tūpuna ancestors. Waiata Tawhito are rich in our history, kōrero tuku iho, language and historical information that has been passed down for generations. It's very important to keep these Waiata Tawhito Mōteatea alive for our tamariki mokopunua for many generations to come. The imagery of these Waiata Tawhito Mōteatea symbolise and remind us that our tūpuna ancestors were and still are through us today poetic geniuses. We are humbled and blessed with what they have left behind. Tēnā koutou.
So that waiata tawhito or ancient song was called Tero Tero Ko-o. It was composed by Kararaina Anaru from Ngāti Raukawa, the Ngāti Raukawa tribe, of which we all belong to. Other members of our group also belong to the Ngāti Tōrangatira and Te Atiawa and Maniapoto tribes. So one way we can look at the meaning of that particular song that we just sang in this contemporary context is that it was a lament or a tangi or a mourning for old ancient ways and elders who were keepers of those ways being passed on, passed on to the other side, and in that lament, we are comparing the sound of our crying to the murmuring of the tide, the ocean, and we are, well, things like this festival are good for obviously reviving and giving a platform and a place and a voice and a space with people such as yourselves to share those old knowledge, punamatauranga, spring of knowledge, which are contained in these songs, which we've been lucky to learn from our people.
I just would like to share a bit of a story about that comes from all of our people, Maori people. And this story is about the most unique musical instrument, ancient musical instrument from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Aotearoa's first name, New Zealand's second name. Okay? Got that? So this is the instrument here. I've actually got two. Now, of course, you know that Indigenous are the original scientists. True. And this is one great example. Our tupuna, or our ancestors, studied, and this is just one example. This beautiful little moth still exists in Aotearoa. It's called a raukatauri moth. And they studied it and observed it and were part of it and connected to that. And we still are. So I've got these. And that is the shape of its house, or whare tūngaunga, or as you may know, chrysalis or cocoon. So this instrument here is called a putorino. Can you say putorino? Ka pai. Over here in the center, and you may not be able to see, but there's a little beautiful carved face. This is te atua o te tangi otu otu, tangi moke moke, tangi manawa, or the goddess of our beautiful musical instrument tradition. And she lived inside her cocoon. In the evening, she would come to the top of her cocoon and she would sing to the moon, just like some of you do. And her song sounded like this. So there she was singing to the moon. Her head was sticking up the top here, and she was singing with all her heart to the moon, out into the putai, or the natural world. And there's another little face over here to the left. This is Pepe. He was a male butterfly flying around in the night sky like any good man at night, searching for food. And on this particular evening, a gust of wind picked him up and blew him far away from where he lived. And when he came off the tail end of the wind, and he could regain control of his wings again, the first song that he heard was the sound of Hine Raukatauri. And he'd never heard the song before. And he thought, he hatakai, never mind about the food. I'm going to follow this beautiful song instead. His curiosity grew at this mysterious sound. And so he flew and he flew and he flew for quite some time. And his puku was a bit empty. He was getting a bit low on petrol. And he started to get tired, but the curiosity and his kaha and his strength kept him going. And eventually, he landed in the branches of the tarata tree, the lemonwood tree. And he sat on the branch and he looked across, and there he saw Hine Raukatauri hanging out, singing to the moon. And he tried to capture her attention. Kia ora! But she was too focused and intent on singing to the moon, so she didn't notice this fella up in the tree. And so he waited patiently, like any good man would do. And he waited and waited and admired her beauty and admired the beauty of her song. And eventually she stopped singing and she went back down into her whare for a rest. And there she waited. And Pepe thought this was his chance, so to repay the favor, he decided he would sing back to her, and this is his voice. And Hine Raukatauri, she popped up from out of her whare. She popped her head out the top there and she looked across. Oh, where? Who's this handsome fella in my tree? And so, of course, she sang back to him. And when she finished singing, he sang back to her, and so on and so forth. And Tamanui te rā, the great sun came up over the mountains in the morning, and their singing stopped. And Hinero Katauri, she had the final song. And in that song, she invited him inside her whare. Now, he was only a little fella, and he was quite nervous. He wasn't too hasty. He flew off the branch, and he flew around her cocoon 4 times in a koru or spiral shape. And eventually he landed on the top of the cocoon where she was there to welcome him inside. And just like your mum and dad had you, Ine Raukatauri and Pēpepe, they had their own tamariki or children too. And when the children were born, they were so little that they lived down in this part of the cocoon. And as they grew bigger and stronger, they moved up to the different parts of the whare, till eventually it was time for them to leave. And they started to eat their way out of the cocoon. I'm not too sure if you can see this little hole here. And they ate their way out, and to show their appreciation and gratitude for the love and the nurturing that their parents had given them, they sang a final song to their parents to bid them farewell. And this is the song of the children. This is our song. And so is the story of the Pūtō Rino. Kia ora.
Well, the haka that you have probably heard is, was it through rugby that you saw that haka? Well, that haka is actually nothing to do with rugby, and it was actually composed by my ancestor Te Rauparaha, our common ancestor Te Rauparaha. And that haka is about life and death, and it's about triumphing over adversity. It's about fighting until the bitter end, never ever giving up. Can I get a fist pump? So, yeah, kamate, ka ora, it's really all about, just triumphing over adversity, yeah, as I said. And we are Ngā Uri Hou, the name of our group. That means the new descendants. That's the name of our group. And we all have this ancestor in common, Te Rauparaha. Kia ora.
Go away,
as we talk about triumphing over adversity, we believe that Indigenous people will save the planet. And this is because of our relationship with the environment, our relationships with each other, and our relationships with ourselves. So when we think of our environment, we say no to pollution. We say no to plastic. And with regard to our relationships with each other, we say no to racism. We say no to misogyny. We say no to the abuse of our children. And with regard to our relationships with ourselves, may I personally say, fleecy locks and black complexion cannot forfeit nature's claim. Skin may differ, but affection dwells in black and white the same. Were I so tall as to touch the skies or reach the oceans at a span, I must be judged by my soul. The mind is the standard of the man. We say yes to love. Any Kiwis in the whare? Ka pai koutou, kia ora koutou. Any hippies in the whare? Because I've seen some of you at Clare and at Freak. Tēnā koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou katoa mea na te kōrero. Kia hora te marino. Kia hakapapa pauna mu te moana. Kia tere te kā rohi rohi. May the calm be widespread, and may the seas shimmer as the green stone before your travelling canoe. Nā mātou tonu o te kirihau te mihi aroha ke nei kia koutou katoa. We of ngā kirihau, ngā urihau, offer you our love and our respect. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, tūturu ohiti, hoka maua kia tīna! Tīna! Hui e, hui